Hey, let's talk about promoting yourself, self promotion, and how that allows you to maybe keep your job longer, avoid a layoff, or find a job quicker, right? So, if you feel like you're doing great work, but no one seems to notice, you're not alone, right? Especially if you're remote, it's easy to feel your impact is invisible, right? Because you're just doing the work. Maybe you're meeting with your teammates here and there to collaborate, but if there's no forced or scripted space for you to do that, then you're just doing really, really great work and no one knows because you can't just casually mention it in the office, right? So the thing about visibility is not it's not bad and it's not like the opposite of being humble, right? I think a lot of people, when they think about visibility, they're like, oh, I want to be humble, right? And you can still do that because when you're putting out your work and you're being visible, it's not about being loud. It's not about being like the worst person in the room. It's about making your value impossible to ignore, right? And the kind of visibility that gets recognized, promoted, and invited to the table comes from impacts that others talk about, even when you're not in the room, right? So if your name is being mentioned because of your skill set, that is what you want. So let me give you a real example of how this works. I have always been like, I understand you need to do a brag book. I understand all these different things that need to happen, but I'm unsure um, how to actually share my wins, right? And I've gotten better at it, but what I really like is when other people talk about my wins, right? So, in order for other people to talk about your wins, you need to do stuff. An example of this is I led a team wide training that delivered value on how to effectively use AI through AI prompt engineering. Why? Because one of the biggest business values right now for my company is to make sure that people are using AI in their everyday work. So if I'm enabling someone to use AI in their everyday work, I'm directly impacting the business value or the business need. So I led that training. My whole division came. It was a mandatory thing that they had to do because we have biweekly labs. So that was visibility. And in that, one of the things that the company also wants is more engagement from people. And between the activity that I did, there was a lot of engagement in the chat. And then after, there was a lot of engagement in our Slack channel as well. So I not only delivered something in terms of AI, but I also delivered in terms of having people involved, engaged, and asking questions. So already that was already elevating me and making me visible without me directly being like, look at me, I can lead, right? Then in that training, I created a simple framework. And because the framework was so simple and it applied to people's work, people started using it right away and talking about it. So that was also one. So first, led the training to get a created a framework that was helpful for people, right? Then three, my company is decent, fairly, it's like 1,000 people, so it's fairly sized, but my team is quite small. And obviously, especially with the age of AI, people aren't naturally hiring right away anymore. And I saw a bit of a gap in what I was doing and what the company needed. So I was like, hey, I'm happy to take on some of these responsibilities. And every time I do something in that line of responsibilities, I obviously share it with my manager. I share it with cross-functional people as well. So they start talking about it, right? Because when they're talking about how they got their work done, they talk about how I helped them get their work done and how I was a great thought leader to them and how was this, how was that, right? So by taking on growth opportunities, not only am I helping myself because I'm increasing my skill set, therefore my value, and I'm also increasing the chances of me having more impact that I can talk about whether I stay in this job or I go. But also, too, I'm aligning myself with other people who will now talk me up because people will rather talk about other people talk about themselves. You're probably feel more comfortable writing a group chat about how amazing your coworker is or something that they did, whereas like you would be hesitant to talk about yourself. So create that loop for yourself where other people can talk about you, right? And kind of all that said, collaborated with different team members to solve bigger problems. And all of this allows my results to speak for me, right? So now I'm being recognized by executives, cross functional partners, and being asked to do more of what I'm already good at, right? Because I am kind of dictating what I'm good at, because I'm picking my project, right? And then I'm being amplified for those projects. So it becomes a nice loop. It's like, okay, I wanted to do this AI training. Why? Because I'm really curious about AI right now and I like training. That was good. That gave results. Now people are like, oh, she's the AI girl. And that's. So this can be a tricky slope if you're not intentional, right? So before you go down this pathway, make sure that you actually really want to spend time doing this thing. And then use the same strategy when you're ready to move on, right? When you're ready to move on, then pick a different thing and then elevate yourself in the same way. And what this also does is that it helps you leave the trap that many professionals fall into, which is waiting for performance reviews or big projects to get noticed, right? Because when you build visibility, you're getting noticed in all the in-between moments, right? So you're always in someone's mind. It's not just when it's promotion cycle that you're on someone's mind, because by the time promotions, like you're having the conversation about your performance review, it's too late for this cycle, right? If you're talking about performance review and a promotion during this cycle, that means you're setting yourself up for the next cycle, right? But in this current cycle, if we're having a conversation, you're not about to get that raise in a month, right? That's not going to happen. But if you stay on top of people's minds, if you're always popping up and you're doing good work, then organically you're a part of those conversations, right? So if you show up weekly, if you frame your contributions and you invite other people into your wins, or you create wins for other people, then you create wins for yourself. So it's all about that nice little loop, right? So if you're following all this and you're wondering, how can I be more visible without sounding like a bragger? This is how you might make that shift. Here are 5 ways to get noticed for the right reasons, right? And as I mentioned earlier, you can host a quick training, or a launch, or a lunch and learn. So you can launch a lunch and learn. There we go. To teach others something useful and maybe something that your company wants people to know but hasn't created enablement around it. So, for example, AI is something that pretty much everyone wants people to learn how to use effectively. So if you're comfortable with that, you can do that. If you're not comfortable with that, just think about a new tool, right, that your company might be using. Maybe they just shifted some system or some process. You can teach that if you're comfortable with it, right? Because then you're moving people's work forward, you're helping the company. So, number one, host a quick training or lunch and learn. Two, share a framework or system you created. People love clarity, people love a quick thing to use. So, if you have a framework, a mnemonic that you use to get your work done, share it with people. Three, proactively support a peer or help cross-functionally, right? If you help a peer or you support cross-functionally, then they start speaking on your name, and that's already visibility without you having to do too much. Then you can say thank you, you can be humble, all that good stuff. You can humble brag, right? Ask for feedback and testimonials. Yes, even internally. So something I do is like I ask um, my manager all the time in our one-on-ones. Also, when I work cross-functioning a lot. So I would, after the engagement is done, I'd be like, hey, how did this go for you? Is there anything that you saw that I could have been better at? Whatever. Or you can just do like a catch up, like, oh my gosh, how was that client? Like make it as seamless as you want or as direct as you want. You know your style, you know your coworker and the culture that you're in. So keep that in mind. And number five, always, always, always link back to your business outcomes. That's what leaders remember. Did you move the needle for what they care about? And if the answer is yes, if you're moving the needle for what they care about, they will move the needle for what you care about. Or at least when you share what you care about, you can get a more direct answer to your promotion, your raise, your bonus, whatever it is that you're after. So here's your next move. Let's see, what is your next move? One way you can make Yeah, think about one way you can make your week more visible, right? Make yourself more visible this week. Actually, I like that phrasing better. One way you can make your week more visible. And the reason why I like that framework is because you do a lot of stuff in the week, right? And who knows it? Maybe your manager knows it, who knows, right? So the labor that you just did this week, how can you make that more visible to other people? Right. So it's not necessarily being louder, but it's being clearer and it's connecting with people who can make that clearer for you as well. I've created a free worksheet to help you build your own visibility blueprint. So it'll walk you through what to focus on, how to prep for exec conversations, and how to own your own wins without waiting for permission. So grab it in the description below so you can get started there and get the things that you need. Okay. And if you're serious about advancing your career and getting noticed for the work that actually matters, this is a game changer. Okay, so please subscribe for more tips like this. Download the worksheet in the description. And this way you're able to get between my YouTube, my newsletter, more strategies like this every week and just elevate your career. But also let me know in the chat, like, what is your biggest challenge with being seen at work? I know it can be a struggle sometimes to put your hand up and be seen, but that's the way we move forward. So please tell me, what is your biggest challenge with being seen at work? I will read every single comment. All right, cool. Talk to y'all later.